So now we're going to make our chicken in a tarragon cream sauce. This is a delicious recipe to make, especially midweek, because it's very quick. This sauce, while very tasty, goes with many proteins. Chicken, I've used it on pork. Chef Mara used it on scallops the other night. It's delicious. You will make it over and over again. So we're gonna start with our chicken breasts. Very often you find chicken breasts to be either huge or really small, or thick at one end and small at the other. We're gonna try and equalize that. So we are actually going to take our chicken breast and we're gonna cut it in half. Don't necessarily be concerned with it being equal sides. We're trying to make them equal in weight or proportion. Kind of like that. So this side's a little thicker, this side's a little thinner, but when we pound them out to an even thickness, they'll be roughly the same size. So I'm gonna move that out of my way. And I have covered our surface with plastic wrap. This is a great tip when you're using raw chicken or any raw meats. Makes cleanup very, very simple. So we're gonna take our chicken and just lay it presentation side down. We're gonna cover it with another piece of plastic. And then we're gonna use our meat mallet, not the spiky side, the flat side. If you don't have one of these, a rolling pin will work. And we're just going to kind of lightly pound it out so it's an even thickness. What I'm doing is kind of hitting while kind of pushing out and trying to get so it's all the same thickness. This does a couple things. It tenderizes the chicken breast and it makes it an even thickness so that they cook all at the same time. Let's do our second piece, just like that. And just kind of pound it out. Helps get your aggressions out as well. And here you have our chicken cutlets that are all kind of the same thickness. Now we're gonna move on to our dredging. I have some regular all-purpose flour. We're gonna add some salt. Good idea to measure your salt out before you start touching raw chicken. And our pepper. And kind of mix that up with my hands. And now we're going to dredge our chicken. I do want to get my pan on first, so it is ready for us. So we'll go ahead and get that started. And now I'm going to dredge our chicken in our flour, and I'm gonna go ahead and put it on a plate. Once all of them are done, our pan should be hot, and then we'll be ready to saute them. So now we have our chicken all pounded out and ready to go. My saute pan has been heating, and now we are going to dredge our chicken and get them in the pan. So we want to dredge them in our seasoned flour. Make sure it is nice and highly seasoned. We're just trying to get a nice little coating on the outside. This helps to dry the surface of the chicken, and that will help it to brown nice and dark and beautiful. And I'm gonna put them on a plate right here until they're all ready to go. Also, when you are getting ready to saute, you want to make sure you have a landing zone, someplace that is a clean plate or baking dish or some sort of platter that does not have raw chicken on it, that we can put our sauteed chicken while we make our sauce. All right, almost done. Then we're going to get our oil in the pan, and when you saute, you want a really high heat oil. Something like a canola oil or a vegetable oil, safflower, sunflower, grapeseed, peanut, any of those. Not olive oil. Olive oil can start to burn at high temperatures, and we want this pan nice and hot when we put our chicken in there. Alrighty, so I've got all of my chicken dredged and ready to go. My pan should be nice and hot, and it is. You can see beautiful ribbons as I move that oil around. And now I'm going to take my chicken, and when we put chicken in a hot pan with some oil, we always want to lay it away from us in case there's any sort of splashing. We want it to go that way, not this way. All right? So we're going to lay it in here, and you should hear a nice sound of sizzle. We want to try and fit them all in here But if for some reason you can't fit them in, don't crowd them. So now our chicken pieces are in the saute pan. We leave them alone until they are nice and golden brown, and then we'll turn them over. Meanwhile, I'm going to get all of my chicken area cleaned up and get my stuff ready for my sauce. So it's been about 3, maybe 4 minutes, and my chicken, as you can see, looks nice and golden brown on the first side, and I'm going to flip them over. Give them another couple minutes. This is why this recipe is so great, because once we've pounded that chicken thin, it doesn't take very long to cook at all. So we're gonna give that second side a chance to get nice and golden brown. Then we'll take them out, put them in our clean landing zone, and we'll be ready to make our sauce. So it's been another 2, maybe 3 minutes, and my chicken is nice and golden brown on the second side. I'm just giving it a poke to make sure that it is nice and firm, which it is. And we're gonna take it out. We're gonna put it in our baking dish. And then we're gonna use all of this wonderful crud at the bottom of our pan to make our sauce. So I'm gonna turn it down just a little bit, because the pan is very, very hot. And I'm gonna start with my shallots. I'm gonna put my shallots in my pan. We always put shallots in, or something in the onion family, in the pan long before we ever put our garlic. Shallots or onions and garlic cook at very, very different times. So if you ever find a recipe that says put your onions and your garlic in the pan at the same time, they are lying. I also like to give any member of the onion family a little pinch of salt. That'll help draw out some moisture so they don't really burn. But because this pan was really, really hot, it won't take our shallots very long to kind of soften and saute. And now we will go ahead in and add our garlic. And our garlic really only takes about 60 to 90 seconds. You'll know it's cooked when you can smell it. And boy, can I smell it. So now we're going to do what is called deglaze. We hear this term a lot in recipes. It means that we are going to scrape up all of the wonderful crud on the bottom of our pan with some sort of liquid. So we are using our white wine, and you'll see as we start to deglaze, all of that stuff on the bottom of the pan is coming up beautifully. It is going to flavor our sauce. We call it fond because that is short in French for foundation, meaning it's going to be the foundation of our sauce. And as you can see, my pan is almost clean as new because we deglazed it. I would use any wine that you are comfortable drinking. We can use Pinot Grigio, Sauvignon Blanc. I tend not to use Chardonnays. I find them to be a little strong. But whatever you have, please use. So now I'm gonna crank the heat back up. My wine has kind of reduced and cooked down a bit. And now we're gonna go in with just a touch of heavy cream. You cannot use half and half or milk or anything like that. As we're bringing this to a boil, most of those other liquids will curdle. So we wanna use heavy cream and bring it to a boil so that can reduce until it is very, very thick. So my sauce has reduced, and when I draw my spoon across the pan, you can see the bottom of the pan, and the two sides don't rush back together. It's a very thick mixture. That is exactly what we are looking for. We have thickened the sauce through reduction as opposed to thickening it with something else. So now I'm going to add some lemon zest. This is going to add some wonderful brightness to our dish. And I always zest it right over the pan because all of those essential oils, we want them to go down there. And the star of our show, Tarragon. Tarragon is a wonderful sort of licorice flavored herb. If you can't find fresh, you can use dry, but we always, always prefer fresh. We're gonna get that in there. We're gonna stir it all around. And we're going to taste it. It is just a wonderful, delicious, creamy, yet bright sauce. I'm gonna add some more salt, because it was a little flat, and I'm actually gonna add a little bit more lemon zest. I got a little hint of it, but not as much as I would have liked. All right, I'll stir that around. And we'll give it another try. There it is. And now I'm gonna pour this over top of my chicken. Alrighty, so now I'm going to pour this beautiful sauce all over my cooked chicken. If you want to, you can save a little bit of the tarragon and sprinkle it over just as a garnish. But if not, just go ahead and take this right over to the table and enjoy.